Welcome to Vite, Lesson 5, Publishing Web Components. In this lesson, we learn how to publish your components to the NPM registry. The previous lesson focused on how to build a native web component. By contrast, in this lesson, we will restrict our focus on how to publish web components. These are our objectives. First, we need to understand NPM scope, private and public packages, and the limits of a free account. As we build the first project, we cover the minimum requirements to publish an NPM package. We will cover 4 basic NPM commands: pack, login, publish, and unpublish. The second project uses Vite, TypeScript, and the Lit API, which we introduced in Lesson 4. Keep in mind that even though we use Vite to build the NPM package, you do not need Vite or a JavaScript framework to use it. This is the appeal of a native web component. This is worth repeating. Although you use Vite to build your component, you do not need Vite or any JavaScript framework to consume it. Any modern web browser can use your component just as it would any other HTML tag. There are a few requirements for this tutorial. You need to have Node installed, and you need a good editor. I will be using WebStorm, which has a free community version. But VS Code or an equivalent IDE is fine. For Project 2, you will need to clone the Vite GitHub repository. Finally, if you want to use the NPM login and publish commands, you will need a free NPM account. You can skip this if you just want to follow along and audit the class without creating an NPM account. The resources listed here are also listed in the description below. Packages can be scoped or unscoped. Scope, which is defined using the @, defines a unique namespace, avoiding package name conflicts. By contrast, unscoped packages exist in a global namespace and the package name must be unique across all of NPM. Free accounts can only publish public packages, which can be scoped or unscoped. Your account name is an easy way to guarantee uniqueness of your scope name for training purposes. Paid accounts can publish private packages, visible only to authorized users. For example, you may want to limit visibility of your package to authorized users within your company. Project 1 identifies the absolute minimum required for publishing. All we need is a package.json and an index.js. The package.json is so simple that we will not even use npm init to start the project. Let's take a look at the minimum required to publish a vanilla JavaScript function. In order to publish a JavaScript package, you must meet some minimum requirements. First, you need an NPM account. Accounts can be free or paid. Next, you have a project directory with 2 files in it, package.json and index.js. Package.json will specify the name and version. Using your NPM username is a simple way to ensure your scope name is unique. Index.js is the code you wish to publish. That's all you need. Open up a terminal and create a directory named Lesson 5 with a subdirectory named Project 1. cd into Lesson 5 and Project 1. Now, start WebStorm or your favorite editor. Create a new file called package.json. Set your name and version. We will be using a scope package. To keep it simple, use your NPM account name followed by Project 1. Be sure to use your NPM username, not version 2 software. Because of scope, we can all use Project 1 as the package name without any conflicts. Now, create a file called index.js and define a function called miles to kilometers. That's all we need. To test it prior to publishing, we can add a test file. Create a file called index.html. Enter the code or copy it if you have cloned the GitHub repository. We just want to prove the function works, so we'll use a simple alert dialog. Now open the WebStorm terminal and enter npx serve. This will start a web server on port 3000. Click on the URL and your browser should open the page with the alert box already displaying. You can see that the function has converted 100 miles, verifying that the JavaScript is working correctly. Return to WebStorm and use Ctrl+C to kill the server process. There is one final nice-to-have step. We don't want to publish our .idea subdirectory, the index.html, or the contents of the test directory, which we haven't created yet. To do this, create a file called .npm ignore, which functions similar to .gitignore. Enter these three items. If you are using VS Code, there may be other entries you need instead of the idea directory. We're now ready to publish. First, let's verify what we will be deploying. Enter npm pack dry run. A couple of things to notice. We created a tar file with the name of your package and its version. Second, you can see the tarball contents, the package.json and the index.js files. If you created an npm account, type in npm login. You are prompted to press enter, which will open your default browser on the npm login page. You can pause this video while you go log in. After you have logged in, return back to the WebStorm terminal pane and you will see that the login command has completed. The final step is to enter npm publish with access public. Oops, mine didn't work. The problem is that in the course of developing this lesson, I have already published version 1.0.0. npm will not allow me to publish the same version again. This is an important point. You can only publish different versions. Yours probably worked fine. In my case, I'm going to increment the version number in package.json and try again. That time was successful. Now, let's test the published artifact. Create a new directory called test, then create an index.html in the test directory. I'm going to use unpackage.com to pick up the CDN copy of my package. In the WebStorm terminal window, cd into the test directory and start the server. Enter npx serve. Click on the URL to open your browser. You should see the alert box with the correct answer, which means the package is deployed and working. Return to WebStorm and shut down the server with Ctrl-C. This package is just for training, so you probably don't want it sticking around. You've got 72 hours to unpublish it. After 72 hours, the package is typically permanent, short of a pesky supernova. However, exceptions may be made for security or legal concerns. Please contact support in such cases. To unpublish it, enter npm unpublish at package name -- force. This completes Project 1. You can now quit WebStorm. Before diving into Project 2, let's explore a few ways to use your npm package. First, if you're working within a JavaScript framework, you can install the package as you would any standard dependency. Second, you can use a script source tag to pick it up from cdn at unpackage.com. Third, you can use an import statement inside a script tag. This assumes that your package has been published in ES format. This is the technique we used in Project 1. Finally, you can just download the tar file directly from npm, extract it, and put the code in a lib directory in your project. You can use the npm view command to get the URL of the tarball. We're ready to dive into Project 2, the core of Lesson 5. In this project, we'll publish a native web component built with Vite, TypeScript, and Lit3. Then, we'll show how to use it in a plain web page. No Vite or frameworks required. Since Lesson 4 already covered the fundamentals of creating components, we won't repeat those steps here. Instead, you'll clone a GitHub repository, update the npm username, and then publish your component. Before we begin, let's take a look at what goes into an npm README file. This does not cover all the available tags, but it's a start. You'll want to include your package name and a description as well as some installation instructions. Show the basic usage and an example. Finally, include a link to the license you want to use. In the next slide, we will clone the ViteBits GitHub repository. It includes an example README file in the Lesson 5 Project 2 directory. Open a terminal window and clone the ViteBits repository. cd into ViteBits Lesson 5 Project 2. Issue the npm install command. Now start WebStorm. Open the package.json file and change the npm username in the name and author keys. I'll be using version 2 software, but you should use your own username. You may want to pause the video and take a close look at the type, main, module, and export keys. These define the format of your package as ES. Now, open vite.config.js. Notice that the format matches the format specified in package.json. Take a look at tsconfig.json. Setting the experimental decorators flag to true enables usage of the lit3 decorators. We define an npm ignore file just like we did in Project 1. Let's take a look at the two components. Open up the v2 button file in the source components directory. We see the imports from the lit API, similar to Lesson 4. We're using the custom element decorator to define our HTML tag. You may want to pause the video and review the code. Most of the file is CSS. As a side note, I used AI to generate this file. The render function defines the HTML snippet. The handle click method detects user input. The global declaration at the bottom of the file is for the benefit of type-aware editors. Now, let's take a look at V2 Converter. It currently converts miles to kilometers, but you could extend it with a drop-down to support additional conversions. Like V2 button, it is mostly CSS. The state decorators are used for internal state management. State is only visible within the component. The handle methods process click and key down events. Finally, we define an index.ts to supply a single entry point into our API. It simply imports the components and re-exports them. Recall that vite.config.js specifies this entry point. Let's look at index.html. This is our pre-deployment test file. We declare a script module and import index.ts from the src directory. In the body, we use the v2 converter tag as well as defining some standalone v2 buttons to demonstrate different usages. We add an event listener to the primary button. Keep in mind that the query selector only returns the first v2 button it finds. Also, note that the query selector did not find the v2 button contained inside the v2 converter due to its shadow DOM encapsulation. We need to make one final edit. In the test directory, open the index.html file and change the username to your npm username. We will use this file to test the publish package. The package will be automatically deployed to the CDN site unpackage.com. That's it. We're ready to publish. Open a terminal panel in WebStorm. In the terminal pane, run Vite to start the development server. Click on the URL to open the browser. Enter 1000 in the miles field and click Convert to verify it's working. You can also see 4 buttons using various properties defined in the component. Return to WebStorm terminal panel and enter Ctrl-C to stop the server. Use the Vite build command to build the production release. The result will be in the dist directory. Now use npm pack-dry run to verify what we will be deploying. The tar file should contain 3 files: package.json, readme.md, and the index.s.js file. Enter npm login as we did in Project 1. After logging in, we are ready to publish. I have already run npm publish access public. You can see that the published tarball includes the 3 files. We are now ready to verify that it is in npm and ready to use. cd into the test directory. Run npx serve and visit the URL. Enter some data and verify that it's working. This confirms that your package has been published to npm as well as being picked up by the CDN site at unpackage.com. Return to the WebStorm terminal panel and enter Ctrl-C to stop the server. You probably want to delete this package from npm. You have 72 hours to do that. The command to use is npm unpublished package name with the force option. I'm not going to press enter at this point, but I will unpublish it before the 3-day grace period expires. This completes Project 2. In this lesson, we learned about scoped and unscoped packages. We discussed private accounts and the limits of free accounts. In Project 1, we deployed a minimal npm package just to set a baseline. In Project 2, we got to the heart of the lesson: how to deploy a native web component to npm. You now have the knowledge to use Vite to build and publish web components, which can then be consumed by any modern browser without the need of any JavaScript framework. Congratulations! We hope you found this tutorial helpful. If so, kindly consider subscribing to this channel or buying us a coffee, which provides much needed fuel for future lessons. Thanks for watching.